Hello and welcome to World War II and more. Today we are going to be discussing the different models and how to identify German helmets from the Second World War. But first we are going to briefly discuss German helmets from the First World War and pre-World War II. Alright, the first German helmet we have here is the M1916. This helmet first appeared in early 1916, and it was the very first all-steel German helmet. This helmet and the M1917 were both very similar in design. They were both made of thin steel with two lug-like ventilation holes on the sides of the helmet. These lugs had multiple uses, such as ventilation so the soldiers did not overheat. The lugs were also used as an attachment point for a shield or large metal plate to be attached for extra protection. However, these shields were rarely used because of the extra weight they added to the helmet. Alright, next up here we have the M1918. The M18 saw many redesigns from the previous models, such as improvements to the helmet liner and chin strap. Some versions of the M1918 even had cutouts along the rim to improve hearing. All three of these helmets were reissued during the Second World War, mostly during the very early or late stages of the war. However, we'll get into that later in the video. First up, for combat helmets of the Second World War, we have the M1935. This was a completely new look for German combat helmets. The M35 had a completely new liner design, the size of the helmet was reduced, the large ventilation holes were cut down, the rim of the helmet was also rolled to a smooth edge. The M35 also had two types of decals. On the left side was the German branches decal. Now this decal varied depending on what branch you were on, but in this picture it is the German Army decal. It also had on the right side the German colors decal. However, in 1940 this was ordered to be removed for camouflaging reasons. Next, we have the M1940. The M40 was almost identical to the M35, the only difference being the ventilation holes. The ventilation holes on the M35 were a separate piece. However, on the M40, they were stamped directly into the helmet to cut down on production time and costs. The M1942 was changed drastically from the other models. Due to supply demands, it was ordered for the helmet manufacturers to produce a helmet that maintained intimidation but reduces costs. In order to save time, money, and material, the rolled edge that was on the M35 and M40 was made flat or sharp-like. The ventilation holes continued to be stamped into the helmet like on the M40, but due to design issues, the helmet was much thinner and not as reliable as its previous models. Next, we have the M1935 German paratrooper version. This helmet was made specifically for paratroopers. The rim and sides of the helmet was reduced to help prevent head and neck injuries when landing after a parachute jump. With there being so many different types of German helmets, it is difficult to mention them all. But since we have already talked about a few of the combat helmets, I thought we should briefly discuss civilian models. Now there are multiple types of civilian helmets, like this one, the Gladiator Civilian Defense Helmet. This helmet was used by the Reich Air Protection League, but it was also used by civilian police, fire departments, and hospitals. Next we are going to talk about the beaded helmet. This helmet is very unique due to the bead or metal bulge that wraps around the entire helmet. These helmets come in three models, the M35, M40, and M42. They are modeled exactly the same as the combat helmets, the only difference being the bead. Now, no one quite knows why these helmets had this bead, but it is believed that they were originally combat helmets that were rejected at the factory, and instead of remaking the helmets, the bead was added, and they were sent to police stations, fire departments, and the Air Protection League. But the beaded helmet was also available for civilians to buy for protection during air raids. Alright, now we are going to briefly go over decals. Now there were many different types of decals, but just a couple of them was the German Army and German Navy, who both had very similar decals. The only difference is the German Navy's eagle is gold and the German Army's is silver. They also both used the same German colors decal until 1940, when it was ordered to be removed for camouflaging. The SS had its own type of decals. On the right side of the helmet was the SS symbol, and on the left was the Nazi flag decal, which was also ordered to be removed in 1940. The Air Force had a very similar decal to the Army and Navy. However, their decal was a flying eagle, and they also used the colored decal. The German Police, the German Red Cross, and the German Air Protection League all had their own types of decals as well. Now I could go on forever talking about German helmets, such as what happened to German helmets after World War II, helmet camouflaging, and post-war models, but we will save that for another day. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Also be sure to let us know what else you would like to know about German helmets or World War II in general in the comments. Again, thanks for watching. Be sure to check us out on Instagram and Discord, links in the description. But most importantly, remember to always love history.